after binding Ashvatam, Arjuna wanted to take him to the military camp. The personality who guided Sri Krishna, looking on with his lotus eyes, spoke to angry Arjuna. So, text 35. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devam Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamadirayet Nasta Prayashu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhagavati Naishtaki. Reading from Shrimadbhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 7, Text 35. Nainam Partahasi Tratum Mainam Partarhasi Tratum Mainam Partarhasi Tratum Mainam Partarhasi Tratum Brahma Bandhum Imam Jahi Brahma Bandhum Imam Jahi Jai Brahma Bandhum Imam Jahi Brahma Bandhum Imam Jahi Yo Sa Anangasa Suktam Yo Sabanangasa Suktam Yo Sabanagasa Suktam Abadhin Nisi Balakam Abadhin Nisi Balakam Abadhin Nisi Balakam Abadhin Nisi Balakam. You don't have to chant with the same melody I did. I did this hoping that everyone, and I got the result I wanted. But you can sing the different, you know what I'm saying?
Different melodies.
Right. Mainam pratar sitratum jai shishigarakan jabiyat jai jigannatha baladev mahisubhadra jai shishigonita. Brahma Bandhum Imam Jahi Yo Savanagasa Suktam Anadhim Nisibalakam Mainam Partar Hasitratum Brahma Bandhum Idam Jahi Yo Savanagasa Suktam Bhagavatam
Mainam
Mainam Partarhasitratum
Brahma Bandhum Imam Jahi
Brahma Bandhum Imam Jahi
Yosavanagasa Suktam
Yosavanagasa Suktam
Avadhin Nisibalakam Mainam Partarhasitratum Brahma Bandhum Imam Jahi Yosavanagasa Suktam Avadhin Nisibalakam Ma'enam never unto him Partha, O Arjun, Adasi, Attu, Tratum, give release, Brahma Bandhum, a relative of a Brahman, Imam, him, Jahi, kill, Ya, he, who has, Asa, those, Anagasa, faultless, Suktan, while sleeping, Avadhit, killed, Nisi, at night, Balakan, the boys. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Abhay Charnhusband Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Lord Sri Krishna said, O Arjuna, you should not show mercy by releasing this relative of a Brahman from a Bandhu, for he has killed innocent boys in their sleep. Please repeat. Lord Krishna said, O Arjuna, you should not show mercy by releasing this relative of a Brahman from a Bandhu, for he has killed innocent boys in their sleeves. Lord Sri Krishna said, O Arjuna, you should not show mercy by releasing this relative of a Brahman Bandhu, for he's killed innocent boys in their sleep. Purport by His Divine Grace by Charnhusband Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. The word Brahma Bandhu is significant. A person who happens to take birth in the family of a Brahman, but is not qualified to be called a Brahman, is addressed as the relative of a Brahman, and not as a Brahman. Krishna's own words. The son of a high court judge is not virtually a high court judge, but there is no harm in addressing a high court judge's son as a relative of the honorable justice. Therefore, as by birth only one does not become a high court judge, so also one does not become a Brahman simply by birthright, but by acquiring the necessary qualifications of a Brahman. As the high court judgeship is a post for the qualified man, so also the post of a Brahman is attainable by qualification only. The Shastra enjoins that even if good qualifications are seen in a person born in a family other than that of a Brahman, the qualified man has to be accepted as a Brahman, and similarly, if a person born in the family of a Brahman is void of Brahminical qualification, then he must be treated as a non-Brahman, or, in better terms, a relative of a Brahman. Lord Sri Krishna, the supreme authority of all religious principles, the Vedas, has personally pointed out these differences, and he is about to explain the reason for this in the following shlokas. Om Kyanatamanandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshusha Militamena There's my, she's gonna be, oh, Krishna. See, this act of ashvatam is exactly what Krishna is speaking about. When anger gets uncontrolled, they lose their intelligence. So conscience as the super soul is also there, telling ashvatam not to do that. Because the same person who is saying that he should be punished for this is the same personality in conscious sharing with the body of ashvatam who has told ashvatam not to do it. As that same conscience we have, you never think to do harm to a child while they're sleeping. See, actually children, if I'm not mistaken, they need more sleep when they're young and born. Yes, please.
What you just said speaks to me personally and spiritually, because my father passed away last February 17th, transitioned. My sister, even though we got different fathers, same mother, had to create a fallacy with my family to explain her stealing my dad's house from me. Now he left with me. So when you just said what you just said, that really resonated and touched me, because what she used, the fallacies that she created to support her decision. Well, she told everybody in my family I wanted to kill my niece, who I love like my own daughter.
Oh, Krishna.
So when you just said that, so that's why I'm in my current situation now, because I got put out that house September 29th. But, you know, divine order, everything take care of itself.
Yeah. So you're taking the position of a humble person, I would say. You're believing that the laws of nature will. Now, do you have any other family members?
Yes, I have.
Brothers and sisters?
Yes.
So then she's done the same thing to them?
No, they my father, because we had different fathers. So we just have the same mother. But her dad, my dad, raised me since I was an infant. So that's 49 years of him being my father, which he is.
Now, I was given a suggestion this morning that I should, and very intelligently, I was suggested that I should keep my mind on Krishna. But here is the thing, family. Krishna is the establisher of family. And this is exactly why it's so painful here. His cousin, great cousins or something removed. Nephews. And family is meant to develop love by. And this is different, it can be seen in all the stages of life. So we need to talk about the laws of nature sometimes, because to be able to see what love itself has created in nature by talking about it. And we get the understanding of it because we know the author. And so the author has given us the means to be able to situate our minds in a different state of consciousness so as to not be so affected by the things that are going on in this world that are actually disastrous. And what more disastrous an event than without reason, without cause, because the children have no involvement. But see, in effect, this goes into the present day life of human beings. It can be turned the other way and say, because a man has a certain appearance or was born in a certain family doesn't mean he's automatically low class either. Then I was just reading yesterday, Bhagavatam 6th canto. What a glorious means of being able to see the mercy of God. Ajamiho, having left his Brahminical culture, living practically a perfect Brahmin, as Krishna had when he discussed with the Vishnu Duta. Because he called out the name of God. He ended up marrying a prostitute and doing everything, leaving his beautiful wife and children, family, life, as a perfect household. And yet raising children with a prostitute woman. Nevertheless, naming his prostitute child Narayan. And by his love for his son, the name of Narayan being spoken with love. Narayan, hearing, sent his messengers. And when they came, just the appearance of them was so glorious. The Yamadutas immediately surrendered to the superiority of their spoken word and were themselves amazed, for never had they ever come across anyone who could violate the commands they had been given by Yamaraj, who is the Punisher, who is the one. He's actually ruling the planet, and Christianity's calling him the devil, in effect. They think this devil, whom we call Kali, see, Kali is the incarnation of sin. Just like God himself, the incarnation of love, there is a force as well, an incarnation of a soul, an exact opposite of God's force. And the more and more people allow themselves to be governed and controlled by the forces of karma, the more they will lead themselves eventually into these kinds of acts that ashvatam, uncontrolled then and controlled totally by forces of ignorance, darkness. Krishna says they fall into illusion, meaning that they will do things that they themselves know are wrong, but they do it anyway. Illusion. And this is now ashvatam, this same soul. Here again, we are seeing Krishna's mercy. According to the last person I know to have been given instructions by God bless you. Thank you very much. And in order to remain clean, we're not supposed to drink in the temple, touching our mouths to our body. In order to remain clean, I don't want to drink from a cup still without touching my lips to the mouth, my mouth to the. So I'm going to forbear until it gets difficult to speak. But here is the thing brought out in this account of Ajamil, is that once he had seen the fact that he had been saved, his whole memory of his previous upbringing, Brahminical culture, had come back to him. He realized what a mistake he had committed. And then Jamil goes into this pleading with Krishna. I don't deserve to be saved. Srila Prabhupada says in the purport, this is the mind a devotee needs to develop. I don't deserve. Because this is the nature of the mercy of God. And what to speak when the scripture says we are all born in this age of low class. Even what we are considering high class, circumstances, spiritually, are decrepit of life. If we only see the value of gold and emeralds and jewels in this world as having a value compared to life itself, And see, that's how many lives these children have taken. So if, by taking a cow, born in innocence, born in the mode of goodness, Lord Chaitanya says, a person has to take life, birth, as many hairs as there are on that cow. As a cow. As a cow. So then what to speak of a human being? This is what Ashwatam did to 5 young children, deprived them entirely of their would-be 100 years, but in this age it is common to live more than 100 years. But here's the thing, now he is cursed to have to walk the earth all this time with a curse that nothing will grow around him to continually remind him what he did for the last 5,000 years. He's been in this condition and still walks in Vrindavan. And wherever he stays for any amount of time, everything dies. He might walk into a garden or vegetable, whatever, and all die. But this is the mercy of Krishna. Hridayananda Maharaj, who I have to admit, having had personal darshan with him and discussion and talks about wearing dhotis with him, and at one time wanted to take him as my spiritual master. I have all respect for him. But the position he has taken, it's peculiar how he knows the principle so well. And yet how can you say, he goes back and forth in his mind while he's trying to answer questions about homosexuality. Homosexuality is just a form, a desire of lust that the physical body is having that needs to be controlled by the mind, because whether you're heterosexual, whether you're homosexual, whether you're other names that you can give, the drawings of the desire for the feelings that this interaction with another human being can produce in your body is not what the position of human being you are brought to now, to be able to develop the consciousness, that the purity of what is meant by love. Not some tingly feeling in the physical body. And the substance that the soul is made of is so far superior, the bit of knowledge we can get of it by having a purified consciousness, to know that the supreme bliss that it is made of far supremely surpasses what is meant by transcendence, goes beyond what can be felt or experienced by contact with any of the use of the senses of these physical bodies. It is consciousness beyond the mind's body. I give sometimes encouragement to see various episodes of events that actually took place in the world. So people can create a mind body that it can be 1,000 miles from here, and a yogi can do this 7 times. Now with modern technology, human beings have come to a point where they've surpassed that. With computer technology, with where I'm going probably around the world, and probably might come to understand that even doctoring up. I need a lot of doctoring physically. But see, this is another aspect and a misgiving of what a human being comes to believe as what is the perfection of human life. We analyze the textures of people's skin, the color of their hair, all these various things that really do not have anything to do with the advancement of the soul. And every single soul, an individual, and at various levels. Now, obviously there are means of people being able to read faces, because the face is the window of the soul. If you think about Krishna all the time, and this is a secret Krishna gives in the Bhagavad Gita, And Arjuna knew of this science himself by his own son, at 16 years old, able to overcome all these advanced warriors with the weaponry they had so perfected. And at 16 years old, Abhimanyu. When I read this account in Mahabharata, he's a hero. He's a real hero, the boy. He broke into. They had to cheat. They had to cheat to beat him. He was so glorious. Fight. And see, he was brought here as Arjuna's son because of the superior consciousness Arjuna had at that time when bringing a soul into the world from higher places. Now, because of the desires of those who are in higher places, realizing how short a period of time they have to spend here, they won't come here from where they are now in the forms they are in now, it is said, to even pass stool. But they came when Krishna was here to observe what Krishna was. But see, the whole nature, everything is different from what it was then. Whole animal kingdom is against humanity now. And it wasn't like that then. And this change, Yudhisthira saw the omens of these things changing. Such drastic changes were taking place because of the fact that Krishna was leaving the earth. And now we are taking those extremes now, after 5,000 years, getting worse and worse and worse and worse, as normal. We're taking it as normal. And so born into, and having wiped out our own cultures of people, wiping out whole civilizations of other cultures who share different beliefs, but had also been given different divine guidance and perspectives of the origin of man. Because so many nations who have these stories want to say their story is the only one. Because man, God is limited to having created only one group of people. No. How can we say that when we can see that each and every single individual soul is individual, unique, and Srila Prabhupada says, is always. So when we say, how old are we? How old are you? We are all the same age. Some of us are manifesting and have been able to manifest before others got here in this time around. And depending on when I leave this and where I go from here, will depend upon next time around which we have relationship with them. Hopefully, we will all see each other in the spiritual world. Because realizing we're eternal is bringing us to what we are. The knowledge of what we always have been. So now we just moved into a place down in the bad part of town where death lies, this material universe. And I am asking Krishna in the form of Srinadaji, I tell you, he gives you a change of consciousness that you wouldn't get. I don't get it any other place except when I ask him and I stand right in front of him and ask Krishna, what is this? So you can look upon the form of Vishnu, emanating billions of universes, and desire the beauty to be enjoyed by your eye, and zoom right into his body. It is from his body, who wouldn't? The gopis. The gopis aren't enamored when they see Vishnu. Look at this, Vishnu, his aura is made up of billions and billions of universes. Krishna's aura, that's Krishna's aura. So when they see him, and see they have access to him,
When they see him, they ask, have you seen Krishna? And by talking about this, and our minds come to the realization of this, if this is the form of Lord Vishnu, they are seeing face to face and desiring rather to find Krishna's presence. And how glorious is that? So, if we as a seeing and appearing, having the vision to be able to see the sun, for how long you can see, 3 seconds, 5 seconds, burn your eyes out. Then imagine 4 billion, Bhagavatam, 4 billion miles is saying the diameter of the universe is. That means the inner surface of the universe, which I am completely convinced we will be able to see if we look for it, is covered by earth. It's made of earth, and it is part of the Bhu Mandal, the living spaces where living entities can dwell. But 10 times thicker than that earth is water, a layer outside of that earth, and then 10 times thicker than that is fire. So that fire is burning, and there are billions of these same universes. That fire is 10 times thicker than the layer of water beneath it. So as we see, the sun has been burning for how long? The universes burn started before the suns did. And how many millions or billions of years before? Krishna knows. Go stand in front of Shrimadbhagavatam and ask him while you're chanting for the knowledge he can only give. And I'm declaring that Krishna gives you knowledge as you desire to know of him. Anything, any aspect about him, you ask Krishna. He's the one to ask. And see, this is pleasing to Lakshmi Devi. It is her energy from Krishna. We're getting it directly from Krishna. A lot of devotees in India see Lakshmi Devi the same way we see Krishna. She is to them, and she is an expansion. She's Vishnu Tattva also. But she is wisdom, she is knowledge, she is the pursuit of wealth, the energy that men devise in their minds to pursue the accumulation of wealth. That is the energy of Lakshmi Devi. And I said this in a previous class as well, but it should be repeated, because it is this pursuit of the engagement with Lakshmi Devi that people are not realizing is the real lust that is causing wars as well. And the statement in the Bible is love of money, but not money itself. See, that's why money itself should be respected. We don't drop money on the floor either, because that money is an expansion of Lakshmi Devi. Now, when money gets dropped, we touch it to our head, and that re-sanctifies it. Put it in your heart, put it in your pocket, but think of it as sacred energy of Krishna. Now, what does that do with money that we become responsible for the expenditure of, is the question. Now, if we take Lakshmi Devi, go to the bar, and buy a beer or whatever, she doesn't like that. So she can recompense on us. And we don't even know it's her. So this is why Krishna protects us from her rebuff by giving us the regulative principles. This wisdom is incorporated into the makeup of the body. And the body is manifesting by the soul, which is made up of intelligence in its completeness.
And that's what is the meaning Srila Prabhupada gave to this book, the science of self-realization. Because that's what that substance, the soul, is in completeness. It's also complete knowledge, complete wisdom, included in that intelligence being described as the same substance as the body of Krishna. This is how the statement can be made part and parcel of Krishna. Because love of Krishna is so strong that he himself has done everything he can because he wants to be complete himself. And this is a suggestion of his making. All these words, all these concepts are created by Sheshanag. Sheshanag has been describing aspects of Krishna since time immemorial, never repeating himself. Yeah. This is Sheshanag who Krishna lies on the couch in the causal ocean, who is also Balaram, who is also Nityananda, but in different places for different purposes, performing different activities. And as a yogi can expand himself, like I said earlier, physically, with the mind, creating another body, Krishna does it on every place. And now that you're surrendered to him, everything's working for your good. Just like the Bible says. Everything is working to good to those that love God and act according to his will. Now we just go out and give everybody the love we know Krishna has for us. And our lives will be sublime. And the easiest way Lord Chaitanya says to do that is go out and sing. Jump up and down and chant and sing and dance and be so happy that Krishna has given you this viewpoint of your being an eternal person, has the ability to touch God's heart more closely than a very dear friend. That's what the gopis are. This is what rasa is with Krishna. This is what Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu is leading to. With purity, he wants us to have the same kind of purity of thoughts. When Krishna looked at the gopis' faces, when they came out of the water naked, he saw the soul's thoughts of their minds. The window of the mind tells one who can read minds, and Krishna can read minds. Because he shared every thought we've ever had with us, being in the bodies we have. And being the ability he is, the ability we take, this is the realization I had this morning. The ability we take credit for, which we think, because we think we're the doers. We're the desirers, Krishna, but there are 33 million enablers. And if they enable us and we are doing anti-Krishna activities, they feel affected by them. Because they're enabling us. These bodies function on so many pressures, karmic pressures, but also some of those karmic pressures are coming from other planets, because in this universe we've all been related and going around in a circle because it's been going on for so long. So when we put out, by the vibration that is allowed to be put out, a spiritual vibration, it can in effect have influence on the rest of the universe. Because Krishna's name, that Brahmastra weapon, Krishna's name is more powerful than that. Giving life. The Brahmastra weapon, it does have the ability to destroy and make a big resounding influence in the entire universe. But it is by Krishna's sound vibration that everything came into being. And Krishna used his name for every soul, every life come into this universe, running over time. But, in a sense, you might look at this as one of the saddest verses in Bhagavatam. And yet the fact that Krishna is going to let Ashwatam be the next in the position, the next Veda Vyas, giving Bhagavatam to the world. That's the mercy of Krishna. These are the words of Hridayananda Maharaj. So, take with a grain of salt what he's saying, but he said this when he was in a good, because right after writing Bhagavatam, he got this realization himself. Very exalted soul. And Srila Prabhupada chose him, and the university he was studying in gave him accreditation with professors who were of equal then after he graduated. Same way with my group. They got their masters in religious studies and, different philosophical studies that enable them to be respected by. So we have nothing against those forms or branches of science that do actually aid the soul's development here with the arts that are of an eternal nature. There are arts described in them. This is why Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu is such a wonderful book to read in the morning. Just a chapter or two out of it, and you come to see what those arts are that you can take part in here that you'll carry through the perfection more gloriously even after this life, even as you every day you're trying to make it better, and that same continuance of trying to make this bhakti. And that's also an extension of Srimati Radharani's energy. You can't get out of her presence when she locks you in with her gopis. So, this is why the Goswamis worship the gopis. And they manifest, gopis manifest in male forms, quote unquote, so-called male forms. So when one Mataji, because they're also very strict brahmachari, right? So when one Mataji was requesting the darshan of a brahmachari, he says, I'm a brahmachari. She says, there's only one man in Vrindavan. He said, okay, fine, you can come. So, this is the nature of the realization of these Goswamis, is that this form of the soul in its purest state is in a form that Krishna takes the greatest pleasure in seeing, looking at. And this is what, with Shrimati Radharani, he does. When they look at each other, their beauty increases. Just seeing each other. This is why, when I put them to rest, I have to carry them off the altar. In between, carry them off the altar, and where I go dress them, I let them look at me. Because Krishna has a way, within a minute, to put 1,000 years. The rasa dance that Krishna had with the gopis in the garden lasted for a day of Brahma. You know how long a day of Brahma lasts? 1,000 years of the demigods. It's one day of Brahma. So, we have lost our histories, as I say. But Srila Prabhupada is bringing the real history back. We are in so deep illusion of Maya. Time itself. We're going by a man that we're saying the year we are living in is 2025. Which is to admittedly say that
that's how many years ago a particular soul came on this planet to help purify the planet, but not what the Earth's age is. Which it would seem like if history was not destroyed, that we would have day one as the first day that life was on the planet, or the first day the planet came into existence. Boy, how could we have that? Krishna has it in his mind. He could give. Go ask Shrimadbhagavatam. I'm encouraging you this because I've had such experience with Sri. One time I went and I looked at Shrimadbhagavata's face, and I am telling you, I don't know how to put this into words. It was like a mag. I just wanted to stay there seeing the look on his face forever. And then the thought came, Krishna, you have fulfilled my desires in my heart more than I could have ever expected would be fulfilled in this life, you know. Just seeing that kind of beauty that cannot be revealed in any human being. God's beauty far exceeds. You will see the magnetic force when he chooses to reveal it to you, and you will know. It will be that powerful. You will never want to surrender anything else. I mean, Krishna is just, you just have been that powerful in my heart to me. You just pull me like a magnet. You know, he's everything as God, fulfillment of who I believe God would be, that I ever wanted God to be. You know, and so I can't help but want to feel at home here and thankful every day. Have the privilege of being able, you know, to somehow serve in this temple. I used to, when I was practicing Christianity, I had in my mind thoughts of what the money I was giving to the preacher should be used for. And the Bible says religion, pure religion, undefiled before God, is to minister to the sick, the fatherless, and the widows in their afflictions, and to become clean as spot from the world. So I thought, wow, that's what religion is. So that's what the priest, the preacher, you know, the one who's in the pulpit, it would seem to me should be using the money to do with. Right? I thought, well, I can do that. I can feed people. So I used to go downtown, see people in the grocery store that might have 2 or 3 kids, finally ended up with one young woman that was having a hard time finding enough. I said, just let me pay for the, you know, groceries. And she was pushing a shopping cart to get home with. I had a car. I gave her a ride home. Then she wanted to show me her altar. Krishna. She had a picture, glorious picture of Jesus Christ, you know, who was my Savior at the time. The same kind of picture my grandmother had in her bedroom that both my grandmother and grandfather would see as they approached sleep. I used to sleep in their bedroom when I was taking a nap in the afternoon, you know, and I'd see this glorious picture of Christ in the clouds, and he's just so happy, you know, and sad, and he's like, and there's a little lamb or something. I mean, it was just so beautiful. I gave a picture of Srila Prabhupada to my mother, and she did the same thing that her parents did to Christ, and she told me, he's nice. But see, before coming to Krishna consciousness, a good part of Christianity is so totally against deity worship, being called idol worship. Here's an example of an answer. Every time somebody asks me, well, you know, tell me an answer, I can't think of one. But here's an example of one, an answer I got from Shrimadbhagavatam. That there is this division in history of the Israelites, condemning all these nations who were involved in idol worship, right?
And so their religion describes idol worship as such as would be the making of a form with earth, right? Modeling. Thou shalt have no image before me. Graven image before me. That's what it said. So asking Srinathji this, I got the realization. Just like if I took a direct photograph of you and people were wondering, who you were, and I said, this is Rande, or this is Prabhu. And it would be accurate that would be a true representation of who you are. But if in my mind, I just draw a picture of just whatever came to my mind, and I said, this is Prabhu. This is what was happening. And so this is why the scriptures, which we take to be words of Krishna, are given knowledge of. And Krishna doesn't want those who are not given this, quote-unquote, confidential knowledge, the meaning of which is that he preserves it for those that want to have intimate relationship, friendship with him. So he reveals certain aspects. I've been in this movement, 42 years now. Yesterday I had asked Tirthapada a question about kinds of garments we use going on the altar. Because I've had this question for some time, the validity of the now. Because you wore pure cloth, unstitched. My understanding was that it was because his wife would be the one that would be doing the stitching, and it would show some attachment to his wife. Not true. Because I'm reasoning in my mind, well, all the underwear today is made with machinery. Nobody touches it. It's a machine, right, that do all the work, but that's not the principle at all either. It's that the cloth is pure. So unstitched means that it's simply strings together and nothing added to it or taken away from it. So, because Krishna's nature is such that nothing can be tied up or bound in his presence. So if you try to tie a knot, you lose it. It happened to me today. I didn't have a knot, but I wasn't tied enough anyway. But see, Krishna's presence causes an effect in the environment. When it's gone, the people in the earth don't even know it ever existed. And that's where we are now. But what we have to take hope and realization of is that this golden age, if we preach purely, and what we can become as soldiers, just like Srila Prabhupada, to be empowered, and what to speak of the children that will become born with the perfection of the cities, Srila Prabhupada said, the great-great-great-grandchildren of his disciples. They're coming. They're another 2 generations or so away. They're going to be born with the perfection of the cities. Now, think about this. How many years has all of Christianity and every other branch that it is broken into been praying that they would get to heaven? Long time, right? Okay, so our scriptures reveal these hells have relatively short lifespans. So by now, a lot of them have been purified. Now, a lot of them have attachments to the earth. I would say more than 90% of most of them. And this was one very important aspect that Christ gave them. But a society has been created now that in order to even exist within the society and function within the society, they have to break the instructions their own guru has given to them to follow. Basically, you have to write contracts that you own the land. You have to right? A contract you own in your car. These are all contrary to lay not up on earth treasures.
This moth and dust doth corrupt, but
Lay up for yourself, but lay up for
I forgot the rest of
that
it.
which is in heaven, where neither moth nor rust does corrupt.
That's right.
Yeah. Because, and that's what self-realization is, what you're doing is, then, see, that's the treasure of a Brahman. Self-realization. Knowing who we are, what we are. Eternal servants, having lost our way. And this account of Ajamil, Srila Prabhupada said that the mentality that Ajamil felt at that time, that he committed so many very bad offenses, the devotee keeps through his life. When I read that, wow, it really struck me hard, because I just a few days ago, when you get close enough to devotees, you can confess things, mistakes you've made in your life, but we learn from others' mistakes. That would be the only reason to share them, so that others won't. And that's what is described in Bhagavatam, that a wise man does. So when we read the life of Ajamil, now we don't have to go out and marry a prostitute. I'm way over time.
It's okay, Prabhu. It's been really nice. Thank you.
Any comments, any questions? And if you do have any, I don't know where the microphone is now, but you can speak it in. I think it's right there. Any comments, any questions? John. All right, Randy.
You need to read the Science of Self-Realization. I'll show you which one it is. It's required
I
reading.
think the microphone.
When you kept saying about the communicable or ecumenical?
Ecumenical.
Oh, ecumenical?
Yeah.
Okay. So they had ecumenical councils as well? Because I know about the ecumenical councils from Constantine and all that.
Is it possible now? You've read Revelation.
Yeah.
Babylon.
Yeah.
See, because these world orders, already the chaos that is erupting by the disagreement of politics, these politicians that are being looked at as the right, they're the more religious.
Right.
Right?
Seriously.
But what has their religion done to give people the proper perspective of life? Because they don't even, most of them probably even hold the idea of reincarnation, and this is a very deep-rooted matter that needs to be dealt with by the conscience and the consciousness of the human beings in order to be able to understand that these carryovers are from other lives even, that people don't have control of. And that's how, the only way they can find control is by becoming free from karma's forced. They don't know it. They run over a deer and they didn't know it. They've been that deer in the previous and had it run by. Yeah.
So another thing, how the spirituality woke, but they teach you that once we are eternal, the body goes into the dirt, our spirit, and soul is everlasting, for infinity.
Okay, as you're saying, but see, I take woke to be a very ununified at this point. I may be wrong about that, but
you're right.
They have like foundational teachings or a book that they've mentioned.
Well, usually, in the spiritual people who think they woke, it means that they are no longer conformed to the world, they transform. So they on their spiritual path.
Okay.
Most people, but now, like you said, government, society have turned the woke into something totally else.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I suspect, see, that those that are coming from heavenly planets, they see the destructive nature the society is in right now. And so they want to reject it altogether, which may have
nature itself might do that anyway.
I just told somebody that today.
With this breaking down of the gaps, which people, I have to keep reminding people of this because I know this is going to be, it might not happen for 100 years, it might not happen for 500 years, I don't know. But with as easy as it would be to save ourselves from the catastrophe, realizing we have about 6 days notice probably from north, and probably more than that from the south, but probably won't be as affected by the south as it'll be. And see, some is going to be absorbed, which I don't think modern scientists are realizing, by the openings that they are also capping off. There are openings in the top and south of the poles that once melted, the peoples will have access once again to this planet, and then giants will become totally known. And some probably feared, which will see force the nations together. What's a 50-foot giant gonna worry about with a 6-foot man, 7-foot man? So they better fall in line with some of these. See, that's why they were called gods in some cases as well, because they were just so far superior to anything. And then immediately, you know, a 12-foot man comes into our presence, we better do what he says. And if he can, but what to speak if he can cause the rain? See, this is something I was going to bring out in class today. By the chanting of Krishna's names, Krishna brings the rain. By the chanting of Arjuna's names, he can stop the rain. That's powerful. Mm-hmm. And see, Christ is being accredited with those abilities that when he simultaneously is going to establish this group of people that are going to be born, and he's already got a big following that's secret, nobody knows about, because I know where their form was formed in the Bible that reveals that group of people. Once he came back to life, they had put him 3 days away in a tomb. And then she sees him in there and he says, yeah, I'm alive, but I haven't yet ascended. And then he is showing proof that he had ascended and come back. He's formed his group from those people that go back to their jobs. Right? So he's got that council of people he prophesied would be, he said, the meek will inherit the earth. Well, who are the meek? The meek people that were present during his time followed him. They were the people that surrendered to him, which is a meaning of meekness to a sense. It's a surrender to a higher power, higher force, which Krishna we see to be the highest. But as Indra, the ruler of the heavenly kingdom, which he kept referring to as his father, puts him in position to be the next emperor.
Okay.
Because Indra, Arjuna, similarly is the son of Indra. So that conversation Krishna and Arjuna are having in the Bhagavad Gita right before this war, Arjuna, his father, is the same father as the person they call Jesus Christ, who I call Usha.
So last thing I want to ask you, when people like your path, your journey, can it be completed? And if it can be completed, you don't return back into this form or another form, right?
So Krishna says that in the Bhagavad Gita. Those who follow me, great determination and faith, they do not have to take birth again in this material universe, ever. Yeah, they return to the spiritual realm. But see what is revealed with Ajamil, then he turned from his mythical culture, and even so, because he mentioned Krishna's name lovingly, Krishna returned him to the spiritual world. If I'm not mistaken, he did have to take one more birth. You know that story? Yeah, Ajamil. Yeah. John, I'll go to your service. It's good to see you again.
You already know that.
But who I forget your name?
Ajay.
Ajay. You didn't know